Greetings everyone. We are the group 2 and we are here to report on the pie graph. So let's get started.
The pie chart has been around for over 200 years. It was first invented in 1801 by Scottish writer and political economy William Playfair, nowadays known as the inventor of statistical graphs. The earliest known pie chart is generally credited to William Playfair's Statistical Breviary of 1801, in which two such graphs are used. Playfair presented an illustration which contained a series of pie charts. One of those charts depicted the proportions of the Turkish Empire located in Asia, Europe, and Africa before 1789. The invention was not widely used at first.
Pros and cons of circle graphs. Pros. If you are working with data that use whole percentages, circle graphs will be perfect for you. Keep in mind that the sum of the percents that you'll have in your circle graphs have to equal to 100%. Other than the main advantage that circle graphs are able to show total percentages for each category that you're displaying, it's also visually appealing. Cons. The cons of circle graphs is that it's hard to compare two sets of data with each other. The numerical data that you display isn't very exact. You should usually only use a circle graph if you have between 3 to 7 categories that you're comparing. Lastly, circle graphs can only be used with discrete data.
Steps of constructing a circle graph or a pie chart. Step 1. Calculate the angle of each sector using the formula. So the formula on calculating the angle of each sector is angle of sector equals frequency of data over total frequency times 360 degrees. Step 2. Draw a circle using a pair of compasses. Step 3. Use a protractor to draw the angle for each sector. Step 4. Label the circle graph and all its sectors.
So, the previous reporter gave us a series of steps on how to solve/create a pie graph. Now, we'll apply those steps to the problem at hand. As you can see, you have a sample problem here. In a school, there are 750 students in year 1, 420 students in year 2, and 630 students in year 3. Draw a circle graph to represent the number of students in this group. But before that, let's review what are those steps. What is step 1? Right, you're correct. Step 2. Nice. Step 3. And last, step 4. What is it? Nice one. And now let's solve. For the step 1, calculate the angle of each sector using this formula. So the formula is angle of a sector is equal to frequency of data over total frequency times 360 degrees. So you will ask, what is frequency of data? Frequency of data, it is a value obtained from a nominal variable. So how about total frequency? Total frequency, it is the total value of frequency of data. So why 360 degrees? It's pretty self-explanatory. We are dealing with a graph which is a circle. That's the reason why we have 360 degrees. So to obtain the total frequency, let's add these following values. 750 plus 420 plus 630 is equal to 1800, and that is our total frequency. And now let's calculate the angle of each sector. For the year 1, we will just have 750 over 1800 times 360 degrees is equal to 150 degrees. For the year 2, we'll just have 420 over 1800 times 360 degrees. We'll have a value of 84 degrees. For the year 3, we'll just have 630 over 1800 times 360 degrees is equal to 126 degrees. Since we already have our angle of each sector, let's proceed to the remaining steps. The step 2, step 3, and step 4. However, let's just assume that we already performed the steps since we are in a virtual environment. So, as you can see, we already have our pie graph. You think we are done yet? Not quite, since we skipped some steps. Now I'm going to show you how to solve the percentage rate, since there are times that instead of putting the value in the label, we're asked to put the percentage. And it is not quite necessary to put the value of degrees inside the pie graph. Take note of that. Now, let's solve for the rate. Rate is equal to frequency of data over total frequency times 100, not 360 degrees, since we'll be looking for percentage. So for the year 1, 750 over 1,800 times 100% is just simply 41 and 2/3%. For the year 2, 420 over 1,800 times 100% is 23 and 1/3%. And for the year 3, 630 over 1,800 times 100% is equal to 35%. So, for the next slide, I'll be teaching you on how to create a pie chart using Microsoft Excel since we are in a virtual environment. Now, we are going to create a pie chart using an Excel file. So, follow me. Insert, go to chart, choose pie chart, and then Excel file will automatically open. Format the label, number of students, let's put year here, year 1, year 2, year 3, delete the fourth one since we only need 3 inputs, then put the value 750, 420, and 630. As you can see, we already have our pie chart. So, let's format it. So, I was told by my grade 10 teacher, Sir Jovi Arias, that when you are making a chart, you must have a title, a legend, and lastly is the label. So, we already have a label, and let's have a title. Group of students in a school. Group of students in a school, and put the legend. So as you can see, year 1 we have 42%, year 2 23%, year 3 and 35%. So if we compare it to our manual solving, we have the same answer, 41 and 2/3%, which is equal to 42% if it is rounded off. Year 2, 23 and 1/3%. If it is rounded off, 23%. And lastly is 35%.
So, that's it for solving a circle graph. Hope you learned something.
Types of circle graphs are also known as pie chart. They may look like different, but they represent data in a timely manner in the same manner. First of all, the first part or the type is a circle graph. It is also known as a simple pie chart or a simple circle graph because it represents data in a simple manner, and also some parts of it or some data of it represents a pie of a pizza. Second one is the exploded circle graph. In an exploded circle graph, it represents or explodes out some parts of the circle graph because it represents important details or it represents important functions on the circle graph. Next one is the 3D circle graph. A 3D circle graph, it is used for aesthetic reasons, or it is used for representing some data in an explosive manner or in a descriptive manner. It also it is a difficult illustration of a circle graph. And then the fourth one is a donut chart. A donut chart is just like the same as the circle graph, but it has a hole in the middle, and then it also represents some parts of a data or an important situation or a statistics. And then the last one is a exploded donut chart. An exploded donut chart also it is like the exploded circle graph, but the difference is still the same. There's a hole in the middle, and the wedges of it is exploded out, and then the wedges of it represents some parts of the data, some important parts of the data. It also represents small functions or large functions on the data or on the chart, and then it expresses it expresses the stability of some parts of the data, and also on the circle graph or the exploded circle graph. An exploded circle graph is also represents the good or the smaller function or the larger function of the parts of the data that must be highlighted or exploded. That's all. So that's the types of the circle graphs.
Summary of the topic. William Playfair, the creator of bar, line, and area charts, invented also the pie chart and circle graph in 1801. This edition of circle graph also reproduces in color of the third edition of Atlas 1801 and the first edition of Breviary 1801. The pros and cons of circle graph. Different types of graphs have pros and cons when you use them, or the advantages and disadvantages of a circle graph. Like you are able to show total percentages for each category and you're displaying. But this is also hard to compare two sets of data with each other. In order to most clearly demonstrate your data and your findings, you will have to learn how to choose the right graph. And the types of circle graph. The circle graph, which we commonly use, the exploded circle graph, it is generated by separating the pie from the chart to show the details of a section. The donut chart is a type of circle graph with a hole in the center and shows individual categories as slices or percentages of the whole. And lastly, the exploded donut chart is a set of exploded circle which is used to contain more than one data on it.